welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene.
I'm John Popko. I work for Time Shamrock with Rock 107, Alt 92.1, and ESPN.
Our other co-host, Brittany, couldn't make it tonight, but we do have drummer Chris Langan, who is the drummer for LondonForce, Dani-elle, Grant Williams, who we've had on the show before, Tribes, and many other local bands. He's also a drum teacher and the host of Behind the Beat on YouTube. So we're going to be talking about his many years of experience and passing that knowledge down to others, making a living as a musician, how he's going to try to turn that into a lifetime career, and much more. So if you have any questions or comments or anything you want to add to our conversation tonight, leave them right down there in the comment section. We'll get to them in a little while. So please stay tuned for the next hour. And before we get into the interview, we want to give a little shout out to our new sponsor, Beer Boys in Wilkes-Barre. They have 72 beers on tap, including 30 from Pennsylvania breweries, so they support local just like we do. These guys are committed to craft, and they provided us with these huge crowlers. They are not growlers, as you would know them, but crowlers, because they're canned up, so they're going to last a little longer than your average growler would. And they're filled tonight with White Lightning from Full Pint Brewing Company out of Pittsburgh. It's a Belgian white with a little sweet orange peel, coriander, and grains of paradise. So it sounds like a good summer beer.
Yeah.
You want to pop these open?
Might as well let them know what it tastes like, right?
Yeah. Well, it comes with this this handy little thing here, which is pretty cool. Carrier.
All right, I got one.
All right, let's pop it open.
Hope I didn't shake it up too much. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, perfect.
That's beautiful. Oh, don't spill it, John. Don't spill it.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Gerard.
We'll clean up our mess. That is quite good.
What do you think? That's pretty good.
That's exactly what I thought. It's a very light summer beer.
Yeah.
Something you want to have on a hot summer day. Maybe not exactly like today, but over the weekend,
Yeah.
it was pretty warm.
Yeah. Gerard, you want one?
That's a good idea to give the producer who's in charge of the cameras a beer while he's going. So
He'll focus better.
yeah, sure, he'll be fine. He'll be good. We also want to give a shout out to the Keys in downtown Scranton. They have Alma Mater, University Drive, A Fire with Friends, and Elephants Dancing playing this Friday night. And Pollyanna, Just Blush, and Grant Williams just keeps coming up tonight, live on Saturday as well. And the FM Kirby Center is also a sponsor on our site, so we want to let you know that Billy Strings and Trout Steak Revival are coming up on July 13th, Robbie Folks on July 14th, and Daughtry on July 15th. So, now that all the shameless plugs are over, thank you for listening, and please check out Beer Boys, the Keys, the FM Kirby Center, because obviously we wouldn't be able to do this without them, and of course Cole Creative, but we've paid them in beer, so we're all good there.
Beer is gold.
Chris Langan, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am well. Thank you guys for having me on today. It's been a busy day. I feel like I've taken over the internet a little bit today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are also Cole Creative's NEPA Creative, which they do every week.
Yeah, and I realized that I was wearing the same shirt that I'm wearing right now, so
yes. But
that was filmed on a separate day.
You've changed since then.
Yes,
just to let everybody know. All right, so obviously we want to start with at the beginning. Why did you want to become a drummer?
Okay, good thing we have an hour. Well, it kind of worked out like this. The Monkees. You remember the Monkees?
Yeah.
Okay, so that show was in syndication when I was younger. It was playing all the time, and I don't know. I grew a liking to it, especially Mickey Dolenz, the drummer. I don't know. I loved this show.
So people say you monkey around.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So my parents got me the record. We had records then still.
You have records now.
Yeah, I mean...
They're back.
Yeah, they're back. They're back. So that was like my first LP, but... So I got that, and... well, my dad and my uncle, when they were younger, they had a drum kit. They played a little bit, like nothing crazy. It was a Slingerland, 1960s something red sparkly kit, and for my 4th birthday, gave me the drum set, and I just started trying to mimic what I heard. Would play the record. Obviously, I don't think I was all that great at it, but luckily, my mom was willing to put up with it, and
Right.
That record turned into the 80s, Phil Collins and all that stuff, and then that turned into the 90s with the Pearl Jams and the Nirvanas, and I just pretty much taught myself. I spent a lot of time in my bedroom. We got rid of the bed because I needed more room for drums,
Who needs that?
Yeah, so I had my father's kit that I originally got, then we got another kit. I put them two together and just had this massive just gigantic kit, and I don't know, man, I just fell in love with it and just kept playing, and here I am. So
Nice.
yeah.
So now you play in, as I listed, several different bands. I've also seen you fill in for a lot of other bands too and stuff like that. So you're constantly doing shows live, pretty much. I would say every weekend, right?
Yeah. It's slowed down because of the way things are these days. But there was a time when I didn't even have to work a real job.
Right.
But yeah. I play a lot with LondonForce, Dani-elle, Grant Williams, Eric Rudy, stuff like that. Whenever, and like you said, the fill-in stuff too. As a matter of fact, last weekend, Mike Brace from Destination West, Lost Dogs fame, he called me up, needed a drummer, and hours notice. Yeah, I was off, so.
So how do you adjust that quickly? Like, are they giving you kind of a rundown of the songs and you just kind of gotta play them on the fly, or do you have kind of a general understanding of some of these songs going in?
Well, I don't know. I've been playing professionally, I guess you would say, in the club scene for over 20 years. So I've played a lot of songs, and they've. Luckily, in a lot of these situations, the set lists are pretty similar, so
Yeah.
there's not a lot of homework to do. However, I will say, I don't know if Eric Rudy's watching or listening, but the first time I played with him was for Parade Day a couple of years ago. He got in touch with me and was like, hey, I got this gig, the Radisson, 6 hours long. Here's 250 songs. See you on Friday or whatever day of the week it was.
Yeah.
I think I had a couple days. Showed up and did it. I don't know. I just memorized, I guess, a lot of it. It's cool.
What's the preparation for that? Do you sit down for 5 hours and kind of just go at it, or
not really?
No?
I'll tell you what. For when I joined LondonForce, that was some of the most preparation I've had to do in a long time. When I got offered that gig, because their set list is so different than what everybody else plays. And, when you come to see LondonForce, you're not going to hear Jane Says, you're not going to hear that stuff. So there was a lot of songs on their list that I had never heard before, and I was like, wow. So that was a case where I had to spend hours, getting ready for that. Not to mention, our live set is all done to click tracks. because of the tracking and stuff, we have separate tracks that are played along. So everything's got to be
Right.
right, like exactly right. So.
And for those who might not know, what does LondonForce play? Like what kind of stuff?
I would say newer alternative. Some of the stuff you'll hear like on alt, but some of like the even deeper stuff that you might not really hear unless you're listening to like a satellite radio. But at the same time, we do cover some of the '90s popular stuff like some Audio Slave and some familiar stuff. So
That's cool.
yeah. Let's see, a couple songs we just started doing that. Sir Sly, High.
That's a great song.
It's a great song, yeah.
They'll be at the Montage Mountain Pavilion.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's I'd love to see them.
Altitude.
I did a cover of that song for YouTube, and their drummer gave it a thumbs up, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool tune.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those seem to take off, especially online, doing covers and things like that. Maybe just a drum cover, a guitar cover, a bass cover, things like that. It's interesting to see when the artists actually respond to them and get in touch and at least leave a comment or something like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had that happen with one other band. Who was it? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was Sir Sly, their drummer, liked it, and who was the other band? I did a cover of a song, and he commented on it. I can't remember, but if I remember by the end of the show, I'll chime in with that.
Yeah. Well, one of the other big bands that you're with, Dani-elle, they seem to be doing a lot, especially in Nashville, which I think is pretty cool and unusual for a band from northeastern Pennsylvania to have to go to Nashville on a regular basis to play shows and stuff like that. So what has that experience been like?
It's a lot of fun. Nashville rocks. It's awesome.
Those are some mighty fine boots.
Yeah, yeah. These are straight from Nashville.
Authentic.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. Dani-elle is probably, if not the hardest working country artist in this area, without a shadow of a doubt. It's a lot of, she's determined, and that's kind of people I like to surround myself with,
Right.
So I take this very seriously, and she does too, so
Yeah,
that's why we get them opportunities,
all the promos and all the videos I've seen of her, they're always very well done. So it's she's not screwing around. It's very it's the real deal.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yep. We're heading back out there in September. We were there a couple weeks ago for CMA Fest. I think we played like 5 shows in 6 days or something. We're heading back out in September for the Josie Awards, which is Josie is it's like an internet country radio, and she does her an awards show every year. Danny's nominated, I think, for 4. Danny, if you're watching, I'm pretty sure it's 4 this year, and it's actually being held. Last year we were there. It was at the Skirmerhorn. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. That's a beautiful building in Nashville. That seats like 3,000. This year, we're at the Nissan Stadium, home of the Tennessee Titans.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's for real.
Yeah, that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
And she's won a few awards in the past too, I believe.
Yeah. Last year, she won down there. Even I think she won here too for the Electric City.
That's where I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry, Danny. You got so many awards going on, I can't keep track of them.
You guys opened up for a band at Montage too last year or the year before that.
We did a couple of them. Yep. What was it? Dirks Bentley. We did on the stage there, right by when you
The box office.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool stage.
Yep.
I think we were going to do it this year, but I think it conflicted with Nashville or something like that, so we weren't able to. But
Priorities.
yeah, hey, I'm gonna go to Nashville, So.
And then Grant Williams is a totally different ball game from that. That's all instrumental.
Right.
So do you feel like there's more of a focus on you for that type of thing? I mean, granted, obviously he's the one out front and that kind of thing, but you're still, a big part of those songs.
Yeah, it's funny, like, I'm really fortunate to be with all the people I play with. They're each unique in their own way. Grant was just, thank God he said he needed a drummer, and I was like, come over.
Yeah, you didn't know him before that, right? You just
I knew of him.
Yeah, okay.
I said, man, I'll jam with you, like.
Yeah.
And we just started. He had some songs, and then we started writing some, and yeah, it's really neat. I don't know if people know what to make of it at first.
Sure.
But man, you listen to that album, and it's so cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely one that I listen to at the desk, like that kind of thing, because you kind of get into it and you don't realize, like, the whole thing's done, and you're like, oh wow, that went by so fast. It's cool. It's a really cool album.
It's cool to be able to work with just a bass player, because we're the rhythm section. You know what I mean? And
right.
To be able to bounce ideas off each other and like complement each other's parts, so that's always fun. The bass player and the drummer got to always lock in, so.
Right. Do you feel that the drummers are underrated in general in terms of music that you hear? Like, if you're listening on the radio, I assume that you would probably say, oh, that's a really good drum solo, or that's a really great beat that guy's got going on, or whatever. And someone who's listening to, they might hear the lyrics, they might not appreciate what's going on, the whole structure of the song.
I could see that. And you know what, too, like, I was going to say, like, being a drummer these days it's tough. Like you're just saying, if you listen to the music out now, a lot of it's not even real drums. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, to be a successful drummer, especially in this area, let alone the entire world, you've got to really, like, have something unique or do something, like, other than just be the drummer in a band. So,
right.
That's like with LondonForce and Grant, too. Actually, with everybody. Sampling has played a big role in my drumming. Trying to, especially for covers, recreate those parts that you hear in songs on the radios that aren't real drums. You know what I mean? Getting those samples, those sounds, and dumping them on a pad and hitting a pad rather than a snare drum sometimes to try to stay true to the song. So. Sure.
Now, do you, as a drummer, how do you go about doing this for a living? Is this something where you're constantly looking for new opportunities, or are you developing your own stuff kind of behind the scenes as well?
Yeah, I'm hustling, man. Just like I said, people are probably going to be sick of me by the end of today because I just have been all over Facebook and stuff. But going back to what I said, man, it's really hard being a drummer right now and making a career out of it. Not everybody wants to make a career out of it, and that's okay. Some guys are totally cool with being in a cover band, party band, playing on the weekends, and
sure,
that's fine. Me, on the other hand, that's not my story. Like, this is what I do, and it's always been what I do. So having to not being able to rely on being a full-time musician, even though I'm in like 4 or 5 bands, it doesn't cut it. So I've had to really kind of start focusing on me a lot, and that's why I've been doing the YouTube and putting together websites and Instagram. I'm on Twitter now, which I never thought in a million years I'd be on Twitter or like any of these social media sites. Like Facebook was enough,
Sure.
what I mean? But now it's
a full-time job trying to manage all those social media.
It really is. It's crazy. It's crazy, yeah. But it's a lot of work, and thankfully I've been able to get into teaching. I used to teach years ago, just a couple private students and stuff here and there, and at their house or whatever, and I never really thought much of it, but Jack Martin at the Scranton Music Academy offered me a job teaching down there, and I really was like, wow, I could do this like full-time. And I kind of am at this point, between teaching down there all week long, and then on the weekends I do some students at my house, and I even started doing Skype lessons. It's become a lot. I've been able to make drumming now my full-time job, and swinging a hammer my part-time job.
Well, so that's a good place to be in.
You know what I mean? So I guess I'm going in the right direction. So
sure.
Well, you're happy, right?
I'm thrilled.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Yep.
Not a lot of people can say that.
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, if you, as a teacher, are there particular things that you want to get across as a student? Like when you start out, are there things that you wish somebody had told you, like this early on, so that you would have gotten better quicker, or like would have made it easier for you, that kind of thing? Are there certain lessons or things in your mind that you want to pass on to these kids?
Yeah. I try to get every student started and acquainted with a metronome right off the bat. That's something. I mean, I guess you kind of could say I was practicing to a metronome if you think about, like, playing along the records, because a lot of records are recorded in a studio to a click track. So that drummer on that song was my click track. So, but yeah, definitely a metronome. All my students right off the bat, metronome, because they have to develop a sense of time. I mean, that's your job as a drummer. You speed up, the band speeds up. You slow down, the band slows down.
Right.
You're kind of in charge there. So that's one thing. I try to get them all started off right off the bat. Rudiments. I wish I started earlier. Because just like guitar and piano have, like, scales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The rudiments are like the vocabulary for drums. And I think a lot of drummers, especially young ones, look at rudiments like, I'm not going to be in the marching band. I don't need that stuff. But
yeah,
you'd be surprised what you could do with being able to, play rudiments and know have that skill. So
right. So that's helped you to get where you are.
Yeah. I had to go through, like, that whole telling myself there's more to it than just being, like a marching drummer. Like, I started learning how to, like, apply that stuff to the kit and even to grooves, and it's made me a better drummer for sure. Like, I think. I don't know what other people think, but I could tell that I am doing things that I wouldn't normally do now because of the vocabulary that I have now. So,
well, it's got to be a little bit different doing it online too, because that seems to be a bigger thing now. I have some musician friends and stuff who will teach online and do Skype lessons and things like that. Have you ever done anything along those lines yet?
I just started doing Skype lessons. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because obviously you're not right there.
Right.
And sometimes there could be a little delay in the, you know what I mean, in the broadcast or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
So if you're working with, like, metronomes and stuff, that could be off a little bit. But I'm new to it, so my students are, taking it easy on me. Well, it's a learning process for both of us still. So, but if I get any better at it, I'll be sure to let you guys know. So, nothing beats doing it in person, though. So,
sure.
But it works out good for people that don't have time or can't travel. That they have restrictions, so they can just pop on their computer or their iPad or whatever, and there we are. So,
do you have students outside of this direct area?
No. I think my one student's from, like, Pawpack area. That would be, like, the furthest.
Okay.
But it opens you up to that as well.
That's the thing. So I'm hoping with the YouTube and all that stuff, I always kind of cross promote. That sets me up that if somebody from across the country does want lessons from me, we can do that.
Right. Did you? When did you start the YouTube channel?
Just a few months ago. I decided, I was like, I'm going to buy a camera and start doing drum covers and doing some lessons just to help get the word out there, show people what I do, give them little samples, you know what I mean? I think it would be foolish to give everything away on YouTube, but it definitely helps as a reference, I guess. Like, okay, here's what he is capable of doing. Here's what he knows. Like,
yeah. So what kinds of videos are you focusing on? Like, what are you teaching people through these videos?
Right now it's been kind of like, you know, just like tips, tricks, like, you know, maybe like a cool drum fill or something, or I try to keep it short because nobody really wants to sit on YouTube for an hour watching a drum lesson. I think that's for like the classroom, you know.
Unless they're watching our show, of course, then they definitely want to sit on YouTube for an hour.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
But other than that, yes.
Push us out. Don't block us.
No, I just think that like it's so easy when your hand's on that mouse to just click away, you know. So
yeah, it is.
I try to keep it short.
Attention spans are very limited, so to speak.
Yep.
We're hoping to keep people for an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, you know, it's just why we do the live stream, but then we offer the show afterwards, too. So, you know, if you can only watch a couple minutes, that's cool. You know, you can always check back in later and watch the full show if, you know, those few minutes, you know, really interested you and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And what's the name of the channel?
It's Behind the Beat with Chris Langan on YouTube. That, coming up with that name was kind of funny, because you could think of it two ways. Like, behind the beat is a term in drumming, like where you play just slightly behind the beat. Like if I'm playing with a metronome,
right,
I could play slightly behind that.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you could flip that and be like behind the beat, as in like, you get what I'm saying, right?
Right. Yeah. see, I thought of it as the latter, but yeah, that makes sense.
So I asked my fiance, I'm like, what do you think of that? She's like, that works, that's good, do that. So we kept with it. So
nice. Now let's see. I want to get into the. We mentioned the boots.
Well, you're engaged. I was your girlfriend, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm my biggest supporter, AKA / roadie, right, babe?
Right.
I remember you guys. I don't know who you were with, but we did it was before Third Eye Blind. We were at Stir.
Yeah.
You guys played like a little small. I forget what band it was.
It was with Destination West, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I remember seeing you and your fiance, and
yep.
So that was a while ago. So.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before. We stopped at Franklin's to get something to eat. By the way, if you ever had their wings,
they are. Everything there is pretty good. We usually we go hang out there afterwards sometimes.
Yeah,
after the show.
We don't eat though. We drink.
Yeah,
dude, their wings were amazing. You gotta get them if you haven't had them.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, we stopped there for a bite to eat, and we were just talking about that Third Eye Blind show. It's funny you said that. That was another instance where Mike Brace was like, I need a drummer. And it's cool, man. I'm glad that people can rely on me like that. He actually messaged me a couple hours ago, wanted to see if I could play Saturday, but I'm playing with Dani-elle, so unfortunately I can't. But
now does that? I mean, not necessarily say put a strain on your relationship, but it's tough. I'd imagine just going, you know, having to go to Nashville for a weekend or going to, you know, shows at night, not being home till, you know, probably 3, 4 in the morning or even later and that kind of thing. That can be tough.
It's not as easy as it was when I was in my 20s. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't bounce back as easily, but as far as support, Kate's the best. I mean, she helps me carry the stuff, break it down, like she's got it down. So she's my sidekick.
Well, good thing she came tonight, because I'm not helping with those drums.
I know.
I am not helping you.
Yeah, he's out of here. As soon
I
as
came
the
here
show's
to drink
over,
and
that's it.
talk.
I have to give props to Mike Wintermute in LondonForce, my guitar player too. He loves carrying what we call the body bag. That's my hardware bag. It's like a dead body. It's really heavy. But he always muscles through and helps me out with that. So.
You got a few supporters, so I'll read some comments.
Great.
I said, if you want to leave anything, let us know. We'll definitely read them at some point. Dani-elle herself says, sounds great. Thanks for the shout outs and all the support. So happy to have Chris on this musical journey. You're a talented guy, she says. So.
Thank you.
And Chris Jones, who is a local stand-up comedian. You may have seen him at some of our Got Talent events and things like that. He said it'll just be a band of Grants, I think he was referring to when we were talking about Grant earlier. He said, bald and bearded, Rich will do photos until he grows a full beard, which I think he's referring to the fact that I'm not a great photographer. I'm not trained in any way. I'm a writer, so if I'm taking photos, I'll take 500 photos to get that one that's actually really good, and then just post that one and be like, oh, see, look I'm a great photographer. You know,
takes you 3 hours to get.
Yeah, that's my secret.
Through all of them, yeah.
Essentially, you know, you get really nice camera, you get really nice equipment.
You look legit.
Yeah, you take a lot of photos and then just show them one or two.
Tell them your secrets. Don't do that.
That's what I need next, right there.
I mean, that's fine. I freely admit that. You know, well, this helps. It actually does a lot of the heavy lifting for me. It's a Canon 5D, and you know, it does video and stuff too. But you know, I mainly use it just for the photography aspect, just because it can shoot in low light, and that was such a big thing. Like when I got my first starter camera, I definitely had no idea what I was doing,
right.
But I wanted to be able to take better pictures, because at the time I was at a paper, and it's like, this stuff is going to get published, and you know, they gave me this crappy $100 point and shoot, you know, like, because there's no budget in journalism anymore,
right.
So it's like, you know, you got to reach into your own pocket, so I definitely started small and had to work my way up, but this thing definitely helps with that.
It hurts your back.
After a while it does, because
you say that doesn't.
This has the double battery.
I think you probably do the heavy lifting. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll definitely feel it in a couple years. That's for sure. Matt Main gives a heart.
Oh, Matthew.
And let's see. Tanner Snyder, his folks, Tom and Noel, say it's an inspiration to Tanner that gives him hope that drumming can be a full-time profession. He's a drummer in Blind Choice and a couple other bands over the years.
I want to quickly just shout out to Tanner. He is going to be doing a guest drum lesson on my YouTube channel.
Oh, nice.
We're going to film it this weekend, so I had put a post out a few days ago. I'm looking for other drummers too, like to come over and film lessons. You know, it doesn't always have to be me.
Right.
I think that way too, that they can plug their bands.
Yep.
Plug themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? Maybe they have a niche for teaching that they didn't realize they had. You know, so
sure. You know, something where everybody can learn something.
Right. So yeah, looking forward to having Tanner over. It'll be cool.
He said, well, you know, he's a pretty young guy. What would you say to young drummers out there, kind of fighting their way through the scene and the whole mess of people that kind of stand out?
What to do?
Yeah. What would you recommend for a young drummer?
Besides like honing your craft, get business minded. There's more to being a drummer than just playing the drums, especially if you want to make a career out of it. Like I said before, nothing knocking the guys that do it on the weekends.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If you want to be a career professional drummer that pays his rent by playing drums, start getting business minded. Start getting on YouTube, getting on social media. Start learning a lot about it so that you can turn around someday and start teaching. You know, because
I think that's what's different now about musicians is, you know, what, 20, 30 years ago, you can just be a drummer. You can go up there, you can do your thing. But now it's a business. It's more than just
right
performing.
Right.
I mean, granted, that's something I can't even do or even fathom. But now it's a business, and you really have to think like that now.
Exactly.
So.
Get some business cards made up. Just as much as you feel like you might be annoying people, who cares?
Which stinks though, because it used to be a party. It seemed like now it's like you
Yeah.
know you're not. You say yourself, you're not going out on a weekend playing a show and getting trashed.
Right.
You're going there. You're doing the best you can, and you're going home.
Yep.
It's not about the party anymore. It's about
Right.
this is business. This is my life. This is my career.
Yeah.
Which kind of, I guess we grow up and that's what we do. It kind of sucks, but
Sure.
Yeah.
but that stinks.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the stories you used to hear about, bands and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. I'm
the
sure they still exist,
yeah,
but
crazy
not
night
what
life.
they used to be. Yeah.
Right. Especially if you want to make it more than a couple
Right.
years,
Right.
before you burn out.
Right. Yeah. OD or.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Don't let that stuff get a hold of you, because it'll derail you real fast. You know.
I know we wanted to mention him too, so it's funny that he commented, Rob Palmatessa.
Yeah.
Said he's in Myrtle Beach, so he can't really watch it right now. It's kind of lagging for him, but the show will be available afterwards, Rob. So feel free to tune in then. Nathan Montella says you're the man.
Nathan.
Another fine drummer from Skip Monday.
He was actually the drum instructor at the Music Academy before I started.
Nice.
He was moving away. It just kind of
So just kinda
stars aligned.
Worked
So
out.
thanks for all the students that I took over for you there, buddy.
Well, Rob, you had mentioned that he does. You're doing some online drum tracking with him.
That's another thing. That's another part of the business. That's another thing I'm getting into is online drum tracking. Yeah. Whereas, most people go into a recording studio, and I'm not trying to take business away from recording studios by any means.
Sure.
I love everybody. I know all the studios. I love everybody that works at them. But for a guy like Rob, he is an unbelievable songwriter. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard any of his stuff, but wait.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. We are working on his demo right now. I think there's 7 songs. We have never even been in the same room because of the online drum tracking. I'm set up now where that you can, if you're a singer or songwriter or a band without a drummer, you can email me tracks. I'll give them a listen. Or if you have any input on what you want, I can record drum tracks to your song, email this back to you. Samples of it. I'm not going to email the whole thing back to you because then you could just take the song and run away with it. But
Sure.
yeah, and we can get it done like that, and we can any kind of changes you want to make to it. If you didn't like a part, I'd rather you do this, that, or the other. We can do that. And me and Rob have been working that way now for about 2 months. Just bounce, he sends me ideas. I lay something down, send it back to him. You like it? Cool. I'm going to help him mix the whole thing. And should be out soon. You guys are going to love his tunes, man. They're great.
Cool. Yeah.
What a songwriter. And what a vocalist, too. Like, wait till you hear the lyrics of these songs. It's incredible. What a great writer.
I feel like a lot of bands do that now. The technology we have and the email and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You could be living here and I could be in California and someone somewhere else, and we can basically put an album together without even being in the same room.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I'm getting into as well.
I think a lot of bands are moving that way too, because after a while you settle down, you get a family, you get kids, stuff like that. You might not all be in the same area anymore.
Yeah.
Usually a band will form in a hometown somewhere, but then eventually, you want to move out. Maybe, okay, I have some money now. I don't want to live here anymore. I want to go, live in Florida or California or something like that. Or, you got to live where, where the studios are or where your label is. Things like that might help you out. So,
Yeah.
it's gonna change your whole lifestyle in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see that down the road for you at some point? Would you move out of the area if it benefited you in some way career wise?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I've done it before. I moved to Florida a couple of years back. Just hopped on a plane and went. I had a buddy that lived there. He let me crash on the couch for a couple of weeks till I got a place, and so I'm not against it. There's more to this than just this area for sure. Not knocking the area, but
sure.
I like to travel and see what else is going on. So
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there really is.
It's always nice to see those places and then bring some of that back here, or just kind of it's neat.
Nashville's a trip, man.
I've always wanted to go.
You walk down this. It's like parade day every day.
Like probably die. I don't want to go. I don't want to go now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess it's not that bad all the time, but during CMA Fest
I'm kidding.
CMA Fest was pretty crazy. It was nuts because on the Sunday of that week that we were there, it was CMA Fest was going on. Plus, it was the Stanley Cup Finals, and Tennessee's hockey team was in it, and it was right there. So there was, I think they said like 80 to 100,000 people in town that day. Wow. It was nuts. Yeah.
Jesus.
But you could walk down the street 10 o'clock in the morning, and every bar's got a band playing all the time.
That's what I heard about Nashville. Like there's a band in a bar all the time.
All the time, yeah.
It doesn't matter who it is, where it is, yeah.
Those guys work for tips out there, though.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not like you wrap up your scores the other night. Like, okay, where's my check?
Jeez, that's
not like it down there. It's cutthroat down there. I mean, there's a million super talented people down there trying to make it.
Right.
So
where do you see yourself down the road then? What do you envision for your future? Or what are you aiming towards, perhaps?
Boy, that's a tough one. Definitely like the same path I'm going now, just hopefully at a little bit higher of a level. Teaching. I want to eliminate having to. Sorry for anybody that I work with during the day that's watching. I don't want to work with you guys anymore. I love you, but teaching full time and doing the the session work, the studio work, and being that go-to guy that I've kind of made myself over the years, I guess, and just continue with that. Playing. The bands will always kind of be a thing, but I want to try to make drumming my career without like having to only be in a band.
Right.
You know what I mean? I if that makes any sense. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people kind of strive to be part of that band, and some people want to break out and kind of do their own thing too.
Right.
And it seems like if you've reached that point where you want to do that.
And it's especially hard for a drummer. Like, I can't just go set up somewhere and be like, okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's why a couple of years back, I play guitar and sing too. I did acoustic solo stuff and. Had a three-piece, Langan, Wags, and O'Connor. Billy O'Connor, who's the guitar player for Dani-elle. It was him, I, and my buddy Wags. I played guitar and sang because there just was like no full band places to play for a while.
Sounds like a lawyer group.
We got that a lot. But yeah, that's another tough thing. Like, it's funny. I'll get calls from club owners and stuff like, oh, hey, we want to book your band. What do you guys charge? Blah, 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 blah. And then I tell them, and they're like, oh, so how about the duo? Where does that leave me?
Right, exactly.
So that's why I got to kind of take care of me, too. So
sure.
You know what I mean? So teaching. Doing the online thing and session work, stuff like that, and playing in bands. So,
I feel like these days everything is so much harder, but yet easier, because it's harder to be in a full-time and working band because you got guys like, well, there's a 3-piece band. Well, how much for the 2 of you? But now you have the outlet to do the online drumming and the online this and the online that.
I'm sure there's other ways to come.
So it's like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so much harder now than it was back then. That's that topic. I'm 100 years old, but it's also easier. It's so weird. Like,
Right.
Where's that like happy medium where it's like, okay.
Well, that's exactly it. That's why I started doing some of the stuff that I'm doing, because I had to make up for
How hard
this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Now, are there one other thing I wanted to ask you too? Any memorable shows that kind of stick out in your mind, in particular, whether it was local or out of the area or whatever that and why? What is it that stuck out about them?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. You got me on that one.
Because you do so many, so I'm sure a lot of it blends together. But.
Right. Oh boy, that is a tough one.
I can read some comments while you think about it. If you like.
Yeah.
I see his brain going like,
Yeah.
I don't want to like tell to me wild stories. Like,
Right.
what was that?
We had some fun in State College back in the day with Dashboard Mary. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I remember Dashboard Mary.
Yeah. I was actually their singer.
Okay.
So, yeah, isn't that weird? Like,
Jesus.
yeah.
Huh.
So, I had some good times with them guys. Nashville shows. Who says they got to play Tootsie's world famous, places that Willie Nelson sat and had a beer. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Luke Bryan was playing on the rooftop of the place 2 days after we were just there. Like, it was like crazy. So, the Nashville shows are cool. They're a lot of fun. They're memorable, for sure.
Let's see. Natasha Marie says Rob Palmatessa is amazing. Just wait for his demo release. It's going to blow NEPA up.
Yeah, it is.
Carl Andrews says Wagstock.
Wagstock. Yeah. Wags, as I mentioned, the law firm band I was in there. He lives up near Crystal Lake. He's got a really nice piece of property, and he built a stage into his backyard and everything. And we would do Wagstock up there. I was pretty much in charge of getting all the bands and running. Like, I would do the sound and stuff for them. And we've taken a couple years off, but it was funny because he actually reached out to me a couple weeks ago and was like, we usually do it on Labor Day weekend. Hey, I'm thinking about doing it again this year. And so we'll see. Keep you posted on that.
Okay. Yeah, let us know. We'll
For sure.
I'm sure NEPA Scene will take care of that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Especially with Yardstock not happening this year. That was a big disappointment for me. I love Yardstock. It's in like the middle of nowhere, but it's an independent little festival, kind of like a Warped Tour sort of feel, but much more down home independent. A lot of really cool bands. You discover like 20 good bands coming out of there every single year.
Where's that at?
It's not happening this year. This guy who's in a band called The Greater Victory in kind of the Wilkes-Barre area, but he lives up. I'm trying to think of what the area is called, but it's like one of those places where you get no cell phone reception or anything like that. It's like I believe his family kind of owns the land or whatever.
Right.
So they've been doing it there every year, but I think due to some kind of issue with the sound and neighbors and all that kind of stuff, and paying people, having a whatever. So I think there was some kind of issue there. I'd actually want to talk to him about it. I'd love to have him on the show at some point. So maybe a future show we'll talk about that. But
Cool.
Definitely a fun local thing. I hope it comes back. Maybe they'll do it somewhere else. Kate says. You want to make a name for yourself, brand yourself, be known around the world, and be a session drummer, hopefully in Hawaii and lots of vacations.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
And Mike Collins says, great coworker, great drummer, always has 2 sticks in his little pad.
Yeah, I see. That's another thing too. Like, even though I'm a teacher,
Yeah.
I'll always be a student to this instrument. You know, so he'll tell you. I work with him during the day. I bring my pad, my practice pad, my sticks every day on lunch, and I'm sitting there working stuff out. So it's never ending.
That's
Never
good.
ending.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that means you're hungry for it. You want to
Right.
continue. You want to always be, working towards something else at some point.
Yep.
Cool. Well, we're pretty much wrapped up. If there's, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to mention or talk about or anything. Anything you want to plug coming up? Do you have any shows coming up that you want to mention?
We, Dani-elle and the rest of us are at Fellstock this Saturday, which I believe we're playing at 6 p.m. So if anybody wants to come to that. LondonForce was, we're scheduled for Harry's this Friday. I'm not quite sure if we're going to be able to do it. Our singer Shannon, her grandmother passed, so we're really sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
So, Shannon, if you're listening, we're thinking of you. Not sure if it's going to happen, but if it does, we'll be there Friday.
Cool.
Other than that, I don't know. People call me sometimes and say, "Hey, can you play?"
So you may randomly be popping
I may
up
be
anywhere.
somewhere.
Is there anywhere that people can follow you on Facebook or any other social media, anything like that?
Yeah, I have my personal Facebook page, Chris Langan. I have a Behind the Beat with Chris Langan page.
Right.
I have Instagram page, which DrumBum1981, I think is my tag name or whatever.
Okay.
YouTube would be youtube.com/Behind the Beat with Chris Langan. www.chrislangandrummer.com. Twitter is ChrisLangan_81. I have a LinkedIn, which I'm not sure what that is. I think Chris Langan 81, something like that. But they're all intertwined, so if you get to one, I've got a link to the rest of them. So
Fair enough.
Yep.
Yardstock is in Chick-Shinny, by the way. I had to look it up. I couldn't remember Chick-Shinny.
Ah.
That's out there.
Yeah, it is. It's out there, but it's a.
That's where I used to live. Well,
Did you?
well not
Okay.
Hemlock Creek, which is where I grew up,
Okay.
which is like 5-10 minutes from Chick-Shinny, I think, ish,
Chick-Shinny.
out in the boondocks.
Is that south of here, right?
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll say
throw-
that. We'll go with that.
throw darts
Yeah,
here,
you would go 81 south, and then you get off. I think it's like past Nanacoke,
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
off there somewhere. I don't know.
And Chris Jones continues to make fun of the fact that we're all bearded and no hair.
Hey,
That's
Oh,
yeah. You have some nice you have some nice hair.
Jesus. Easy, Chris.
gravity, man. Gravity works in weird ways.
I'm okay with it though. I've see you and me we've accepted it, and just put it out there. I see
Yep.
people trying to hide it with hats all the time, and
Right.
Nah, it's fine. Just get rid of
I think that's the main reason that I started going bald was from wearing hats.
it. Right? It's only,
Constantly.
It's only
The
making it
wives'
worse.
tale.
Only making it
Maybe in my skater phase too. I was a teenager from dyeing it like 50 different colors. Probably didn't help, but I went through that phase too. But
Yeah, I did have a mohawk at some point before I started losing the whole middle part. So
Right.
there goes that. But all right, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to our new sponsor, Beer Boys.
Thanks to the Crowler.
The Crowler. We're going to be featuring that every week. We're going to have a new beer to be able to talk about, and we'll post about it on our social media afterwards. So if you want to check out any of the beers that they have on tap, we're going to be featuring a new one every week. Thank you to the Keys, and thank you to the Kirby Center. if you want to be a sponsor, by all means, contact us and let us know. We'd love to feature your business and become a partner. You know, we support local every single week on NEPAscene.com. So,
of course, Cole Creative.
Of course, Cole Creative, who are here, and their logo is kind of hiding in the background, but we'll.
This massive frame is covering it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you here next week. Hopefully, with everybody.
Yeah,
that was the plan this week.
I think it's been like a month since we've all sat down together.
I know, right? So
Maybe not a month, but whatever.
Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.